Welcome to the backend part of our full stack workshop. So in this workshop, we're going to go through Node.js and using Node.js and integrating Firebase Database with Node.js. So don't worry if you guys have no idea on how this works. I kind of designed this in a way that even people who took Comp 1511 could actually learn some Node.js syntax and integrating different database stuff with Node.js and actually deploying it to the cloud. So let's get started. One thing for you to kind of think of before you starting your project is what kind of stack you would use. So there are like different stacks like Python, Java, Node.js, Go, whatever. But so I'm just going to show you different advantages of Node.js. So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. So it's basically just a language that converts it's an interpreter, a compiler kind of interpreter that that interprets JavaScript on the web. So it converts JavaScript code into faster machine code, and a machine code is a lower level code that the computer can run without interpreting it. So and also Node.js has one of the biggest ecosystem of open source libraries in the world called NPM. So NPM libraries are usually some libraries are usually reliable, and NPM is just a way of downloading different packages so that you can use different code without you actually implementing it yourself. So let's say you want to, what's a good example? Let's say you want to do something very complicated that requires huge amount of code, but since that is already on the web and you can just download that, and then you can just import it to wherever you need it, and then you just can use that code by calling that. Also, Node.js also makes real-time apps such as chat and gaming really fast, and also it increases the efficiency of the development process. So since front-end stuff are mostly mostly JavaScript, so since you're writing JavaScript on the front end, you can also write JavaScript on the back end, which makes language stuff kind of easier. So because you're using one language and a different language, rather than a different language. Now, why should I not use it? So there's this thing called callback hell in JavaScript, although there are a lot of ways to kind of mitigate this. And I'll show you an example later. But callback hell is basically when you're calling a function and passing that function as an argument in a different function, then it just changes, and then it just becomes very hard to read afterwards. Also, as the NPM Node Package Manager NPM library, NPM is pretty big. There are some packages that kind of require bug fixing. The bigger the package is, like, it's kind of the more buggy packages there are in the NPM community. Also, it uses an event-based non-blocking I/O model. When you do a very intensive computation, let's say in your app, then it's kind of gonna slow your application down because it's single-threaded, and it will block incoming requests. So you don't really have to just don't use Node.js when you're doing some kind of heavy computing, like, I don't know, solving a very big matrix or something. So this is an example of callback hell. I think I grabbed this from Stack Overflow. So function A calls function B, and B calls function C, and as you see, it's very chained and it's just very hard to read. And there are a lot of ways to kind of mitigate this with the new syntax from ES6 and I think ES7. I'm not sure, but there are a lot of ways to mitigate this, and I will show you one way later. And yeah, don't worry about all this stuff just yet. Also, when you're developing a large, complex safety critical systems, you should not use Node.js because Node.js kind of it doesn't really have any types. So in C, you know how you have int x equal to 1 or something. You have those types, but in JavaScript, you can actually just assign any types to any variables. So yeah, just to mitigate this, there's a thing called TypeScript that is introduced by Microsoft, and this one is built above Node.js. So TypeScript is just a compiler that compiles TypeScript code into JavaScript code. And yeah, TypeScript is worth learning if you want to kind of learn more about. I mean, if you want to be more type safe, like, but it's I would say try to learn JavaScript and plain JavaScript first, and then you go to learning TypeScript. And yeah, what is Firebase? So Firebase is a backend as a service. So it just helps with the backend development. So there are different stuff that Firebase kind of offers. So there are database, Firebase Analytics. It shows the different analytics users when they access your website. Authentication. So you don't really have to implement any login thing. You just have to call one function from Firebase, and it's gonna provide the credentials for you. And hosting, you can basically just host your backend or your website on Firebase without having to deploy it on different third-party website. Yeah. So now we're also going to use REST API, and we're going to use two requests. So GET request and POST request. So REST API is, so we're just basically going to use HTTP requests to communicate between software programs. So GET request is something like when you want to retrieve data from your database, I guess, and then send that to the front end. So this is an example of REST API. So when you look at the URL tab here, it says SXSRF. It's probably a bad example, but it's basically saying this value should be sent with the request for you to get the search values. And the POST request is when you're submitting or writing data that needs to be processed. And POST request is used when you actually want to create something that is kind of confidential, I guess, because let's say you want to log into Facebook and you enter your email and password. You don't want your email and password to be on the URL, right? So you want that to be kind of passed in without the user knowing where it goes. So yeah, that's POST request. And this is just going to make more sense later when we're actually writing the code. Also, we're also going to use JSON. So JSON is basically a lightweight format used for data interchanging in JavaScript. So the structure of JSON is, if you guys know Python, it's something like dictionary. So it's a collection of key values pairs. Like you have, let's say, key is equal to name, and you have your value, age, value, something like that. And so back in the day, why we use JSON is we used to use XML, and which is pretty hard to read. Now we use this kind of, so these two things basically represent the same thing, but this one is just more readable and just more organized. And yeah, so that's why we use JSON. And in JSON, we can have strings, integer, arrays, and I think most of data types. I don't think we can have functions. We can have objects as a key in a JSON, and you will see that later. So everything we are doing today is based on, so everything we're doing today is based on JavaScript. So we're also I'm just gonna introduce you to a very simple concept of token. So when you log in, let's say Facebook, you don't really know if you're account. I mean, Facebook doesn't really know if your account exists, so it's gonna have to check its database and then see if you actually exist in their database. And then if you exist, they're gonna return a thing called token that's not readable for human to fetch specific resources for the front end to use. So this is an example of token. As you see, it's very hard for for a human to read. And when you actually decode this using some algorithm implemented in the deep inside backend, this is what you're gonna get as you decode. So yeah, just think of token as something like a key for you to kind of do something that requires login stuff. Yeah, so the colors are ugly. So we'll get started. So I want you guys to set up a terminal, install npm, install node. I'll walk you guys through this. Just 1 second. How do I? Yep, so we're going to be using Node.js. So if you guys don't have it yet, you can install it here in nodejs.org. And yeah, just install the LTS version, which is the safest. Yeah, and when you download Node.js, npm is gonna come with it naturally. Next thing we're gonna be using is VS Code. If you don't have it yet, I would recommend that you download it. It's a very convenient text editor for you to use. And wait 1 second. npm, this is the thing I was talking about. It's called Node Package Manager. And here there are different packages, a lot of different packages you can use when it comes to developing your stuff. So it's a very useful thing. I don't really use it on this website. I just Google how to do stuff, and then the search results tell me that there's a package for it. So we're going to be using Express. So Express is a framework built on JavaScript to have a more simple and more safe server. It's not really a server, but we can kind of organize our code in a more simple way. So I'm gonna be showing you how the difference between just using Express and not using Express. How do I install Node? Let's search. I'm pretty sure it's just sudo wait. So I think you can just run this command, sudo apt-get install npm, and Node.js as well. Just again, I guess you can just Google it. How do I? Linux. Yep, just sudo apt install Node.js right here. Express, I'm gonna walk you guys through it later. Yep, so I think I'll just wait for people to kind of get their stuff installed. Yep. Or you can just go to, what? After installing Node.js, you can just install VS Code if you haven't. And oh, another thing, if you can, try to install Postman. And we're gonna be using this just to kind of test our routes we implement and if it returns the correct values. Yeah, I think we're gonna use Postman specifically for post requests, because GET requests we can just put the URL in, then it's just gonna fetch it for us. you guys are having problems installing Node, just I guess Google it, like how to install Node on Mac. Oops. On Mac. There's so much stuff. No, actually, just go to website. I think you can just install it on the website, and then just click that. npm comes with Node.js as far as I know. Website, sure. I downloaded and installed, but you have separate command for npm part. Node.js, npm comes with Node.js. So as you see here, where'd you go? npm is distributed with Node.js, which means when you download Node.js, it's automatically installed to your computer. So don't worry about that. Oh yeah, don't worry. So yeah, I think I did a slides way back, so I kind of forgot to update it. But yeah. When you open Node.js, once it's downloaded, it's meant to look like a terminal. No, if you want to check if it's correctly downloaded, you can just open a terminal. How do I? Wait. Terminal here, and then just node-v, and it's going to tell you the version. And if it shows the version, that means you have Node.js installed correctly. After Node.js, just install VS Code if you haven't. And if you still have time, you can install Postman. Yep. Or you can just search Postman Chrome extension and just get that on Chrome. It's just basically the same thing. Yep, just go to Chrome Web Store and install Postman, and that should work as well. Yeah, npm comes with Node. Yep. I think I'll just wait one more minute before we kind of continue. I can't download Firebase tools. I'll kind of walk you guys through that later. What's an easy way to host a Firebase server? You don't really host a server on Firebase, so you just deploy your functions, and then the client just calls on that functions just to retrieve data. So you just have to deploy it on the cloud. So I'm gonna walk you guys through that later as well. Do you have to pay? It depends, I guess, on the amount of function calls you get. Of course, if you get like billions or like a lot of calls, you do kind of have to pay. But like if it's just like a minimal amount, you don't really have to. All right. Yeah, if you guys, let's just keep going. So go to your working directory. In my case, it's in Firebase workshop /workshop. you guys should be able to create a directory for you guys to work on this project. Yeah. So after creating a directory, go to console.firebase.google.com or just go to Firebase. Just search Firebase on Google, and it's the first link here. Just click that, and then switch to your account, and then press Get Started. I'll just wait. Yep. So your console should look like this on Firebase. So when you want to start a new project, click Add Project and get a name for your project. In my case, I'll be doing Backend Workshop. Yep. Continue. Yep. Continue. Select an account. Just default, and then just press Create Project, and just wait for this one to complete in a while. It's so dark. And as you see, your new product's ready. Continue. Oh, nice. Here, now we have our project here. So I was in the US. Oh, I'm not sure if you can change it after, but try to change it or just create a new project if you can't. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It just adds a little bit of latency on your project, like 3 milliseconds or 4. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. Next thing we're gonna do is go to functions here. Click functions on the left tab. And then just press Get Started. Now you see here npm install -g Firebase tool. Just copy that, go to your terminal, just paste it. And then that's how you kind of install your stuff. That's how you install. Oh, I mean, you have to run sudo because you're installing globally. So sudo npm install -g Firebase tools. So you're gonna have, what do we do? You just press get started, and this is the first thing that comes up. Yep, as you see, successfully installed. Just run this command, and if it doesn't work, add sudo before installing this. You just press continue and finish. If you guys done that already, now go to your terminal, and then just press Firebase, log in. That's gonna prompt you to log into your account. So I'm gonna use my CSS account here. Allow. Oh, login successful. Does it have status? Oh, never mind. Yep. So, okay, I'll slow down. All right, sorry. Wait, sudo. Yep, try sudo if you can't install it. So sudo npm install -g Firebase tools. Yep, I'll just wait for you guys to kind of get it settled. Just 1 second. Firebase like get right on installing a specific directory. I'm not quite sure what you mean there, but when you have a -g command, it installs globally. So you have access to Firebase anyway on your computer. Oh, nice. All right, so that worked. Command npm not found. You should probably install Node.js before you kind of run npm. So if you haven't yet, go to nodejs.org and install Node.js. Yep, npm. It's just, yeah, you kind of have to kind of wait for it. So yep, you don't have to run that. Yep, you don't. What do I do after installing npm? All right, so no, I'll try to walk you guys again slowly. I think I was quite too fast. So go to Node.js, nodejs.org, and then install the latest version, LTS. And then once you install that, go to terminal and then run the command sudo npm install -g firebase -tools. For Postman, I would recommend using the Chrome application extension, but it doesn't really matter if you don't. So which Firebase CLI features do I set up? Just wait for that because we'll be going through that in a while once everyone has stuff done. I'll just give you guys a few more seconds, a few more minutes, just to get things sorted. Firebase website. There you go. So click Functions tab here and then press Get Started. So once you press Get Started, this command comes up. This is what you do to install Firebase. And yeah. So when you create your project, you should be in this page right here. So press Functions right here. Oh yeah, don't worry about warnings. If they're not errors, it's okay. How do we get past it? How do you get past the command npm command sudo not found in VS Code terminal? That probably means you don't have Node.js installed. So go to this website. It's not this. Go to this website and install Node.js. Wait, how do you get to that page? So once you create your project, there's a button to get started, and then you press that, and then you go to this page, and then press Functions. What's this? Oops. Not quite sure. Your product should be on there if you actually started, but no, not yet. So don't kind of set it up yet because we're gonna be doing that together in a while. How to download it on Mac? Oops, no. Hey, when I type in the command from. All right, no, actually, let's just get started again. So, okay, get started. Add project, enter a name, backend. No, actually, I'll rename it movie workshop Continue, because we're going to be moving a different routes for movies. So continue, create an account, default account for Firebase, create a project. When I type in the command from Firebase onto Node.js, I'm not sure what you mean. So can you kind of elaborate on what you mean, Alex? So once it's completed, press continue, and you'll be redirected to this head site. Yep, this is what so this error is when you have to have sudo before npm install. So as you see here, I have that error as well. So you have to type sudo before you install it. How do you get Postman again? Yeah, no, we'll just deal with Postman later when we actually have to test it. Yep, you do have to use a sudo before the command. Yeah, I think I'll just wait 3 more minutes for everyone to get set their things up. And yep. Yeah, no, don't worry about that, because I kind of walk through doing the project again. So if you're on the functions dashboard, don't worry about it. You're actually ahead. All right, now you're on your Firebase homepage, right? So you press functions on this tab on the left. Press that. That's gonna load. Wait for it to load. Get started. Press get started, and run this tool npm install -g Firebase tools, which is the command we ran earlier. Well, you're gonna have to run sudo before that because we're installing globally, and to install globally you need permission. So you have to have sudo. Yep, this command Michael just sent here. And continue, and then we don't really have to run this one yet because I'm gonna walk you guys through this. So, okay, now that we have that done, go to your working directory, and then press Firebase, log in. And then in this case, I'm already logged in. If you are not, it's gonna prompt you to this to the Google website where you have to log in. And also, if there's any command that says that asks you to press yes or no, just press yes. I don't really know if what that does, but just do it. After logging in, press click, just type Firebase init. Firebase init, and then select functions, press space, then press enter. And then use an existing project, because we already have the project initialized already. So we're gonna be using this movie workshop, the thing I just created. So you just select your project. We're gonna be using JavaScript. ESLint, no dependencies, yes. And just wait for it to load. Yeah, this is just gonna take a while because we're installing different packages. No. So you create it and you choose an existing project because we already have the project created when we use the GUI. Yep. So okay, I'll try to walk you guys through again. I think I was quite fast. Okay, so Firebase init. Yeah, I mean, I guess just allow it. I mean, I don't think. I mean, did you guys log in? So press Firebase login. All right, one rule: if you don't have npm installed, that means you don't have Node.js installed. So go to nodejs.com.org and then get Node.js first, and then install Firebase tools. And after installing that, run this command Firebase login and log into the account you created your project with, and then run Firebase init. So let me know if you guys have this on your terminal now, and we'll kind of move on from there. Failed to get Firebase project system workshop. If you guys are having error accessing your project, it's probably because you haven't created it, or you're using a different account, or you haven't logged in yet. So run Firebase login, and then Firebase init. All right, I think. Yeah, okay, I think we have to move on. So when you're on this tab already, just go to Functions, press space, then press Enter. Now it's gonna create some starting files. So which one to select? We are using JavaScript. Enter. ESLint, no. Enter. Install dependencies, yes. I'm using Linux right now, but I think it should work on Mac as well. He's using Windows. So we're using JavaScript. We're not gonna use ESLint, and we're gonna install the dependencies. So using yes. Oh, if you did press yes for lint, just don't worry. It just kind of forces you to match the industry standard style. So don't worry too much about that. When I try Firebase login, it gives unauthorized access. I'm not sure why. Maybe try log out and then log in again. Maybe that should work. So just install dependencies. Now that's gonna take a while to install because. Yep. So after installing it, when you look at your directory, you have your Firebase.json and functions. So we're gonna open this in VS Code. So in your Firebase.json, oh, it has nothing. Nice. Now, when you go to index.js in your functions directory, we have this starter code right here. And then we can uncomment this bit, exports.hello world. And then the terminal. Okay, after this, we're just gonna try to Firebase deploy. What do we open in VS Code? You just open your current directory where you ran your command. So in my case, I have these files. So I just opened VS Code on this directory. After you uncomment these files, you just press Firebase, run Firebase deploy, and this is going to deploy your function to the Firebase functions part. Wait, hold on. Oh shit, it requires me to. Wait. I think it requires me to change my plan into pay as you go. It's not going to charge you, but you just have to kind of have your card on your Firebase thing. Yep. Since I have my card already on my account, I just pressed upgrade, and yep, that happened. And if you haven't, just enter your credit card details, and that should work. So I'm gonna run that command again. Firebase deploy. Now this is gonna take a while. Dependencies, you press yes. Index.js should be inside the functions folder. So when you look here, in my directory, I have functions and firebase.json. You just press functions and go to index.js. Yeah, you won't get charged with Firebase unless you have like million or like 100,000 function calls, probably. Straight after finishing, open your directory on VS Code and uncomment this bit. Got an error while running. Do we have to premium to make it work? Right. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What's the premium? All right. So if you guys don't have any credit card, I will show you a different way to actually see if it works. Yep, you do. So don't worry too much about that. But I will show you how to make it work without any. I don't seem to have functions folder. You should. I think you should have a functions folder if you did follow what we did. Yeah, uncomment and then deploy. But I will show you a different way to do it. So when you Firebase serve. Now this is gonna Firebase serve. This is gonna serve your stuff on your local directory, so you can actually test it. So when you when you just serve and then you see this thing, right? Just copy that and then try to paste it on Chrome or whatever browser you're using. It's hello world, not world. As you see, we got hello from Firebase as our code here. Now what we're gonna try to do is try to change this from hello world and then see if it still works. Just save it and just refresh. And there you go, it changed. So when you're serving, when you change it, it automatically saves and kind of serves up the code you just saved. So yeah, that's a very convenient thing. So you don't really have to refresh every time or reserve every time. How do we open the window? This is just Chrome. Yeah, it's just Chrome. Yeah, after uncommenting, you just press Firebase save. You just type that command in, and then you just copy this URL and then paste it to your browser. What do we do at emulator setups? I'm not sure what that is. How do you get the workshop in the VS Code? So you have to initialize. So Firebase init, select functions, and then your directory should have all these files. Okay, now we have this. We're gonna kind of initialize our database. So now next thing is select Cloud Firestore on your Firebase console. So select Cloud Firestore, and then press Create Database. So for now, we're gonna be using test mode. So this just means that anyone can access your database without any credentials for 30 days. So yeah, don't worry too much about it, because we're just gonna, I'm just trying to show you how you actually use these stuff. So after that, you select your location. I think the nearest location to us is, let's see, oh, Australia Southeast. And then just enable. I'll just wait for that to load. This is gonna take a while to initialize, so. Yep, test mode. All right, after initializing, you have this, and we're gonna now start a collection. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a database of different movies, so that we can use it on our front-end workshop as well. So go to IMDb, imdb.com, and then go to most popular movies, I guess. And no, actually, top rated movies. And then as you see here, let's just write that, use the title from this one. So start collection movies, because we're gonna have a collection of movies. And then field title is this the Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption, and then add another field, year released. It's a number, and 1994. And we're gonna get the image as well. So image URL is equal to, so you just press this image right here, and then copy image address, right click, and then copy image address. No, open image in a new tab, and then copy this, and then paste here. And genres. So genres is going to be an array, because we can have different movies can have different genres. So in this case, the genre is what's the genre? Drama. So we're gonna change this into an array, and then drama. Then you just create an auto ID. So it's gonna generate a new ID for you, and then just save. So there you have your first movie. Now we're gonna retrieve this movie from our code. So this is where we actually connect our code from. Yep, so let's just get rid of this. No, actually, let's just comment this bit out in case people. Was it copy image? No, I'll open image in a new tab and then copy the link. So it's going to be some kind of Amazon link right here. Next thing we're going to do is, let's cancel this first, and then just exports dot get movies actually is equal to functions dot https dot on request, and we have request and response. So if you're not really familiar with the syntax, don't worry yet. You'll kind of get used to it later. And we're going to be using an arrow function. So this is arrow function. So let's say const, no, let. So in JavaScript, we can use var let or const to declare variables. So in C, you used to do it int x is equal to 1, right? But in JavaScript, you do let x is equal to 1. And what I meant by being so document ID you just generate it automatically. Genre was array. So genres are array, and I have drama inside. So what I meant by being JavaScript being not really secure in terms of typing is I can do x is equal to a string. So that is valid because we don't really have a type inferred or specified here. Where in C, when we do x is equal to hello, on compile time, this is going to give us an error because x is a type of int, not string. So that's one thing. And yeah, just I think for this page, you have to copy this one and then just type get movies. And then we're going to be using the Firebase admin. So go to your terminal, then run npm install Firebase -admin. And this is going to allow us to kind of I mean, we have to go to the functions folder and then install that. So cd functions and then install admin. So this is going to allow us to access the database, Firebase database. Yep, as you see, we installed it, and we're going to have to import that. So const admin is equal to require Firebase admin. Yep, and then here we're going to call this function. I'll try to get okay. Admin dot firestore okay. So admin dot firestore. So this is the data. This is how we access our database, and then we're gonna get our collection, and we're gonna have to specify it. So as you see, our collection is called movies. Collection movies dot get. So we're gonna get the movies, all the movies. Dot then. So this one returns a promise, and I'll explain what a promise is in a while. So it returns a query snapshot. So as you see, this is why VS Code is very convenient. So it kind of tells you what different types are returned. So don't worry. Don't worry if you don't know what a query snapshot is yet. So data, and you just have an arrow again, and then So we're gonna have to return an array of movies. So we're gonna have to initialize a new movie. So let movies is equal to an empty array. You can also type new array. Doesn't really matter. And since this data is a collection, is a query snapshot, we can iterate through each stuff in this data object. So data that for each. So this is a higher order function for each. So it's just going to iterate through all different elements in that data array, basically. So what's going to happen is it's going to take for each document in the data array, we're going to have an arrow here, and then, oops. For each document, we're going to put that document, the data in that document to movies. So movies dot push. So we're pushing that data to movies, and then doc, and we're going to call this function to get the data from the document. Is everyone following? All right, was I too fast? Anyone have any questions? So this one doesn't really have to make sense yet. Just do it, and it's just gonna make sense in a while. Firebase admin. All right. So go to your functions directory and then run npm install firebase-admin. And after this, it's always a actually we have to return a response. So by the time the code reaches here, we're gonna have the movies array populated with the data from the query snapshot we got from this get method. So what we're gonna do is return a response. We're gonna return a JSON object of movies. So what this does is just the same as this. So we have a key movies, and then it's just gonna be a movies array. So if we have the same key name and the variable name we're trying to kind of return, we can just do response.json movies. And it's always a good practice to catch errors. So .catch, we're gonna take an error as a parameter, and then return. And actually, we don't have to return because we don't have curly braces. So response.status is 500 because 500 means internal server error. It basically means something happened. It doesn't work. So status at 500 JSON. We're going to return a JSON file again. I mean type again. So error is equal to error.code. So we're going to return an error code if anything unexpected happens. But no, spacing doesn't matter. This is just some kind of configuration I have on my VS Code just to kind of make it more readable, I guess, for me. For the extension, I'm not sure, but I think it's prettier. So yeah, it's this code formatter. Just install it if you want your code to be prettier, but it doesn't really matter. All right. Actually, before we test this out, we have to initialize our app. So admin dot initialize app. Just call this command. When we initialize something, usually we kind of specify the project specifications, but I think it's on in our package JSON, or is it in Firebase JSON? Not 100% sure, but is it here? Yeah. So we have our project in our Firebase RC file, so don't worry too much about specifying stuff. Yeah, so once we have that done, we can just run Firebase server again and kind of test that. All right, now it gave us a URL here, and let's just hope that it works. Paste the URL. Oh, there we have it. So what happened just here is we got this. Where is that? We basically retrieved the data from here to here. So as you see, movies is an array of different movie objects with the title, genre, image URL, and year released. Is everyone following until here, or does anyone have any questions? Yes, no. My previous service in closing. If it's in closing, you can just press Control-C, and then I just used Firebase serve command over here. Maybe try, yeah, spam it a couple of times, maybe. Getting an error. You probably haven't installed Firebase admin. So what you want to do is npm install Firebase admin. Go to your functions directory, and then call npm install Firebase -admin. If Firebase serve gives you an error, it's probably because you have like a syntax error or a linting error. So try to read that, because it gives you a pretty friendly error, and you can kind of debug it from there. Yep. If you haven't initialized that, initialize the app over up there after you import it. So it's just a method for you to actually use the admin thing for your variables. All right. As you see here, we are kind of, so when you want to get movie, you have to make sure that that's a GET request, right? Because we're not trying to change anything. So what we can do is we can check if the request, the method, is it not equal to post, then we can return a response dot status. So this is basically an error. It's a wrong method. So JSON error method. So it's basically saying that we're only we're only allowing get method. So if we're gonna use this kind of syntax in all our code, it's gonna be very very messy in a way, because we need to check every time. And so what we can do is we can use Express. So Express is a lightweight server framework for Node.js, but we're not going to use it as a server, but we're just going to use it to kind of make our code more compact and kind of more readable in a way. So what we're going to do is get rid of this, and then npm install Express on our functions directory. Make sure we're on our functions directory. So after installing that, we can import that. So const express is equal to require express. And actually, yep. Then after that, we can do const app. So there's just a convention to call our to name it app, because why not, I guess. It's equal to express. So you call the express function right here. Yep. Unable to load admin module after installing it. Make sure you're in your functions folder when you install admin. Right. If now after you have your Express installed, what you can do is you can just type here app.get. So it's a GET request. Then you just specify the route. It's get movies. Then you just basically copy this now from this bit until here. Okay. Yeah, and then you just get rid of that. And this basically gonna do the same thing, but yeah. And then what you can do is you can export that. Exports the usually a very good convention is that when on a website you kind of specify. Say you have a website called I don't know, helloworld.com, and when you kind of wanna get data, you don't really want it to be on that base URL. You kind of want to add something like API, and then have your route name here, so that it's more kind of it's better. It's kind of easier to identify that it's actually an API. It's actually a route to kind of retrieve or like send data. So what we're gonna do is export the API is equal to functions dot https dot on request, and we're just gonna pass in the app. What is this repo? Oh, did I send it? Oh, okay. So, yep. And also, what we can do is, because by default this is sent to the US server, US region. So we can actually specify the region here as well. So region. I think I'm gonna send it to Asia. Asia.east 2. Oops. Yep, and once we serve this, Firebase serve. Yep. Okay. So we have our URL here. It's, as you see, it's /API. So once we copy this, and then just paste it here. Actually, no, we have to specify a route. So get movies. Yeah, nice. We have the same result from the one earlier. Can't get Firebase admin. npm install Firebase -admin, I guess. Sorry, I haven't been keeping track of the chat, but yeah. Now, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of try to send data so that we can actually create a field on our Firebase database. So this is gonna be a post request. So it's gonna be app.post. And then we're gonna name it create new movie. Let's stop the server for now. And then request, response, arrow key. All right. Now what we're going to get the data sent from our request object here, and it's in the body object. So we can probably say const new movie is equal to a new object with the key title, and it's request.body.title. So we're retrieving the title from the request object body object's title property. And as you might have guessed, year released is equal to request.body.year released. And then image URL request.body.image URL. Oh, one thing. All these request.body are sent in a string type. So we're gonna have to change our year released into a number, or an integer, so that it's actually consistent with all our with a pre-existing thing. So as you see here, is type number, as you see. So we're gonna have to convert this into a number. So what we can do is we can just cast this one into a string, because we're sure that it's gonna be a string, right? And then we can just call a function to convert a string into a number with parse int, and then just close it with a parenthesis. And we're gonna have to create a genre. Wait, Mark Wong. You need to specify your route. So as you see here, I have get movies. So you have to add /get movies for it to work. Okay, so now we're gonna have to get the genres, and when they are sending a request for genres, it's gonna be of type string as well. So genres are gonna be in type, let's say drama, action, separated by commas. And JavaScript has a function just to separate stuff by commas or by any character, called split. So let's probably name a variable here called genres is equal to request.body.genre.split and comma. So what this is going to do is when they send us a string of genres like this, it's going to separate it into an array, drama, and action, like that. And we can add the genres here is genres. Yep, so this is our new movie object, and we're going to have to send this to our database. So let's try that. We're going to use admin again, admin.firestore.collection. So specify the collection again, so which is movies. Movies. Then we're going to add. So just add, and then just pass in your object, new movie. And this is going to return a promise. Then data. And we're going to return a response that has a status and the details. So status, and actually return response .json, the same thing again, but we're gonna have to have status equals string success. So this is gonna be called, or we're gonna return this only on success after we return a promise. And then details. And then we're gonna have a backticks here with, and then we can just write movie with ID, and then we can pass in any variable. So $, and then curly braces with data.id. So this is the added generated as we added a new movie. So in this case, the ID is gonna be this. So yep, and then it's always a good practice to catch errors, catch error response.json, status 500.json error.code. What just happened? Oops. Share curly brace. Yep. So this should work. Now we're gonna use our Postman to actually test this route. We're gonna have to serve it first. I'm serving because deploy takes a lot of time to actually deploy. So I'll press Firebase serve. Oh, nice. Okay, so it compiled and it's initialized on our. So go to Postman. So on Chrome Web Store, search Postman, and then if you haven't installed it yet, try to install it. So in my case, I already have it, so I'm just gonna launch the app. And yeah, so we're just gonna copy this URL here. Copy. When you made a new movie, yep, the ID is just generated automatically, and you have access to it here. So we are gonna copy paste the URL here, and then / create new movie. Create new movie. Yep. And then go to body here. That's why this is why we are using the body property here, because we're gonna send it with the body property. So request the body, and then we have you have different different types. So we're gonna select x-ww form URL encoded, and then we're gonna edit this. So title. So the title is going to be, where'd you go? The title is going to be The Godfather. So let's add a second movie. So The Godfather, copy this, paste, year release 1972. Image URL, click this movie again, and then open image in a new tab, copy this, paste that. And genres, what are the genres? So we're gonna have to specify the genres as crime, comma, drama. Yep, and then you just click send. So I'll just show you how it updates. So we have this, and so once I press send, loading, success, details, and as you see, it updated right away. So as you see, a movie with ID, this one was added. So this ID and this ID is identical. So data.id I have on my code here is the ID of the movie that I've just added, that was generated automatically. And yeah, that's how you add a movie. Yeah, and as you see, the year released here is a number because we kind of we used the parse it method to kind of convert the string into convert a string into an integer, and we also use this method to split the genre passed in with a comma as an array. And yeah, and next thing we're going to do is kind of get details of the movie specified with a movie ID. No, before this, I kind of want to explain what a promise is. So I think the basic definition of promise from Stack Overflow, that's right here. Promise. So promise is a JavaScript object that represents an eventual completion or failure to an asynchronous operation. So there are different states. So 3 states. So it has pending state, which is waiting for a promise to be resolved, rejected. And so promise basically resolve, rejects, or is in a pending mode. So when you resolve operation success, and we reject operation failed. And this is one way of kind of mitigating the thing I said about callback hell, because it allows us to kind of chain our stuff with .then, which is more readable. So one example is, so I'm just going to create a promise file, promise.js. Then let promise is equal to new promise with resolve, reject. So it takes in 2 values and then an arrow function. And then I'm just going to have a basic thing. If true, return, resolve success. Else reject failed. So what we can do with this is we can just do promise prom. So this prom dot then we're going to take in the resolved or rejected value here. Actually, the resolved value. So resolved value, and we're going to take that as an argument, and then let's try to just print it out on the console. Console.log value is equal to resolved value, and then we can also catch errors which are rejected. Console.log rejected. Should be rejected. So we have that, and then when we run this, so we can run this by just typing node and promise.js. I just see, since this part was ran because it was true, we can see that the value was success. If this was false, so this part would never run. What would happen is it would be rejected. So that's what a promise is basically, and then it just allows us to change stuff with .then or catch errors with .catch. And yeah, so another route we're going to do is we're going to kind of make a route to get a specified movie specified with an ID. So what we're going to do is app.get. The route name would be /movie /:movie ID. What this means is, so you have your movie ID here, right? So this one. So we're going to copy this. So what this means is we're going to access the movie from /movie / the movie ID, like this. And yep, so as the same thing, request response error, Yep, what we're going to do now. Okay, now we're gonna get the specified movie. Another thing, one thing I kind of wanna change here is that you see how admin.firestore is used consistently throughout the code, and I think it just makes sense to kind of call that as a database. So const db is equal to admin.firestore. Then we can just say db.collection. db.collection, and change that one here as well. db.collection. And I think what we can do is db.collection. We're gonna go into the movie collection, and then we're gonna doc, and then we're gonna be getting the movie ID. So request .params .movie ID. So this is the way to get the movie ID from this the URL actually. So doc, and then we're gonna get, and then this one returns a promise just like here. So we're gonna have to then, and then data error, and then we're gonna, so this one returns a query snapshot even if that does not exist. So what we can do is if data that exists, we're checking if that exists, then what we can do is return response.json status success. This has to be a string. And then movie is equal to data. That's a bad name, but it's a way to get the data from the data object here, because if we're checking if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, else return response.json and that status. This is 404 code because it does not exist. .json status failed. What happened? Oh, status failed. Error. Movie not found. Yep, and we're gonna catch errors as well. Error response, actually return response.json.status 500.json error.code. Yeah, and let's see if this works now. We're gonna Firebase serve. Right now, since we have /movie /the ID, and we're gonna try to get it. Oh, now it's a get request. Yep, as you see, we got the movie specified with the ID. The ID was ZQG3, and as you see here, ZQG3 is Godfather, and we retrieved the movie named Godfather. Yeah, so that's basically how you kind of do how you send and retrieve data from Firebase. And I don't think I'll have the time to kind of brush up or walk you guys through the login or logout routes. Instead, I think what I'm gonna do is I'll kind of help you guys kind of debug whatever errors you guys are having, because I think like the chat was kind of exploding from all these stuff. So yeah, if you guys have mics, or if you guys want to kind of, if you guys want a little bit of help, I guess I can try to kind of help you maybe. So yeah. Anyone? How to deploy to URL. So what you can do is after you have your credit card credit card specified and your plan as a Blaze plan as you see here, you just have to Firebase deploy. When you just enter that command, it's gonna deploy to the Google Cloud, and you're gonna be able to call it from wherever you are with the URL specified. Yep, because we're gonna delete the hello world function. Change the name. How we change the database? Oh, so database here. So I kind of made DB to reference admin.firestore, so that because it's kind of lengthy just to type this every time you're creating a new route, right? So I mean, it also makes sense just to call that database because we're going to this part and then we're gonna specify which collection, the movie collection, so movie collection. So it just makes sense for me just to specify it as a DB and in short for a database. How much would it cost? It's basically free, and then and they only charge you according to the amount of function calls you have. So if you have like millions of function calls, they're probably gonna charge you a little bit. But if you don't, so if it's just a little bit of, if you don't have like a million users or a lot of people demanding all this stuff, it should be fine. They shouldn't charge you a lot, or not even charge you maybe. To host your website in Firebase, you don't really. I don't think you have to, but unless you're gonna buy your URL and your domain name, you probably do have to pay for that. But I think Firebase also offers free hosting. Did anyone have errors with or any questions with the syntax or whatever with the code here? You guys can feel free to kind of speak if you want. Yep, as you see, it was deployed. And then we have the function URL here, and let's see if it works. So /get movies. As you see here, we got two movies, Godfather and Shawshank Redemption. There you go. And what we can do is movie / specify the ID. Where is an ID? Oh, I don't have the ID returned. But what we can do is just copy that and then /ID. There you go, success. We got the ID successfully from the Google Cloud URL, not the localhost. So my request is split of undefined. So split. So what might be happening is you're not using the. Oh wait. You're probably just using form data. Maybe try to convert it to x/www form URL encoded, and maybe that should work. So try to convert, change this thing from this to this. Cool. Any questions regarding the syntax or? Will we get bonus points if we use Firebase? It depends, I guess. I mean, I mean, I don't think it really matters on the personal projects competition, but I just think that Firebase is more. It's just more. It's very simple to use, and it's very easy to get it set up with because you don't really need a server and for your database. Oh, yep. You can also use Node 8, but I think that's kind of, so when you go to your package.json, you can just change the 10 here into 8, and I think you're gonna be able to deploy your stuff for free, maybe, but I haven't tried it, but it might work maybe. But I would just say just put your credit card and it's whatever. Like, I don't think they'll charge you a lot. Even charge you, I don't think they'll even charge you. Anyone have any other questions? Or like I can go through like signing up users for you. Cannot read property of split of undefined. So maybe make sure your your method is post, and make sure it's in the method x-ww-form URL encoded. So yeah. Tips for personal projects competition. I don't know, just have a good idea and make your code readable and make it yeah, I guess make it readable and kind of maintainable, I guess. So just don't yeah, just I don't know, just have a go at it, whatever idea you have, and then yeah. Yep, I will be pushing. Actually, it's on GitHub. So if Michael, can you just send a link for the GitHub? And I also have the code for authentication stuff, so sign up and login stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, you can take a look. So yeah. All right, I'll go through the auth stuff, so authentication stuff. So for authentication, we're gonna have to install a different package. So what we're gonna do is npm install Firebase. Just install Firebase, and this is what we're gonna use to kind of provide credentials. So make sure you install that on your functions directory. Right, after you install that, go to your Firebase console, then click authentication right here. And then set up sign-in method. And then email and password, you just have to enable that. Enable and then save. Yep, cool. And then you import your Firebase. So const Firebase is equal to require Firebase. Yep, and then we're gonna have to initialize the Firebase out as well. So Firebase.initialize app. And we're actually gonna provide a config file. So go to project settings. So press this gear button and then go to project settings. And then press this for your web app. And then register app, my app, nickname, register app. And then add Firebase SDK. We're just going to set this up later. Okay, next, continue to the console. And then just go to config here. Just copy this, Firebase config. And then just paste that one up here. And then pass in the Firebase config as your argument on your initialize app for Firebase. And then we can go ahead and make a route for signing it. So app that this is a post request again, and then / sign in is sign up. Sign up, I guess, because we're creating a new user. And then it's the same thing. Request response. And then, yeah, we're gonna use Firebase package we just installed from npm. So Firebase.auth.sign in with actually sign up. Yeah, create user. So since it's sign up, we're gonna create a user with email and password, and we're going to pass in request. So since we're gonna pass the arguments in type of form data, so request.body.email as a first argument, as you see here, email and password. So request.body.password. So that's how we sign in. Then it's gonna return a promise. Then data error. Then we're gonna have to return another promise. So data return data.user.get ID token. So this is gonna return a promise that returns an ID token, or basically a token. Then, so we have token, and then we're gonna just return response.json token. So we're just going to return a token. So token is basically a bunch of random letters and random numbers that kind of provides the user credentials. And then we're going to always a good practice to catch an error, and then just response status 500. JSON error.code. Yeah, so let's try this. We Firebase deploy, serve. And where is Postman? Right here. Sign up, yep, sign up. And then we have email, and then password. Now you don't really have to. This doesn't really matter because we're only taking email and password. So let's say email is hoya@gmail.com, and then password is hello world. Now when we send that, all right, let's send this thing. Oh, we're getting what's happening. 1 second. Oh, yep, no, this should be a function. So when we send that, because this is a function to get a token, email already in use. So let's try, because we just weren't able to get the token. So let's try to delete this user and see if it works again. Do I set a Firebase hosting? Yeah, sure. It doesn't really matter right now, but yeah. Yep, as you see, you got this token, bunch of letters and numbers of random letters and numbers. So Yeah, that's how you create a user. And same thing for login. So I'm just going to copy this bit and then log in. Or I'm just going to change this method into sign in with email and password. And then it's just basically going to be the same thing. So when you sign up, again, twice, you won't be able to because the email is already in use. So when we change this route into login, as you see, we got the token again. Version 10 doesn't matter. Yep, don't worry about that. As long as your global version is higher than your node version, the Firebase node version, it's not big of an error or big of a issue. So yeah, that's how you log in a user and sign up a user. And it also provides a token. I think you guys might be a little bit confused about this arrow stuff. So in JavaScript, let's say function. Actually, I'll create a new file for that. Functions. So function hello world, and we have console. We're only printing hello world here. Now this is the same as const or hello world is equal to, it takes no argument, and then only console.log hello world. So they're just basically the same, these two. But this is more like when I actually started JavaScript, I kind of thought this kind of function is very ugly, I guess. Because I was like, when I did C, most functions look kind of like this instead of these arrow stuff. So I thought I would stick to this. But as you go on, you would kind of realize that this kind of syntax is very convenient. And it's pretty also faster to write in a way, I guess. So yeah, there's that. But they're basically the same thing, basically. Which is better, Firebase or MongoDB? I think it really depends on it's your preference and also the type of data you're storing, like the relationships between data. So as you noticed, Firebase does not use any. It is not a relational database, so it's no SQL, and you just have basically different fields with IDs and stuff. But I'm not sure how MongoDB works, but I think MongoDB is also JavaScript based. I'm not 100% sure, but personally, I think Firebase is just easy to set up. As you see, like you can just cover so much stuff with just little lines of code. I'm not sure about MongoDB because I have not used it yet, so I can't really give you a certain answer. But I think it really comes to personal preference. Does anyone have like different questions? Otherwise, I think I'll kind of wrap the workshop up. Your API key is invalid to check. Yeah, you probably copied it wrong. So go to your settings, project settings, and go to config and just copy this. Just Control-C, Control-V. Like don't add anything else. ITM, I'm getting this error. Value for argument data is not value. What part is this? For which function is this? For Jamie D. Volleyball data is not. Get movies and create new movie. Let me take a look at my repo. GitHub. Not sure why you're getting that error. It might be because data, where's data? It might be because you're not initializing DB or you're not importing stuff. I'm not 100% sure without like looking at it. So yeah. All right, sure. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Michael, do you want to wrap up, or unless anyone else have like questions? I'm sorry, why are we getting? Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. So when you press fire serve, and then you go to index.js, and then uncomment this code. Uncomment this code, and then you run Firebase serve. You're gonna be able to get hello world printed on wherever you're running stuff. So when you Firebase serve, just like here, as you see, the terminal just pauses until it gets any requests. Like when I just copy this and then paste get movies, it just pauses until I call a route. So yeah, anyone else have any other questions, or?
If no one has any other questions, well, thanks for coming. I just want to mention two things. One is we've got a front end workshop, which is kind of like this, but front ends on the 9th of September, which is sort of like a part 2 of this.
Yeah, we're gonna be using the routes we created for the front end workshop. So we're gonna be creating an IMDb type of website, I guess, for you to get like details of the movies and stuff, create movies and stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing is that we have a personal projects competition. So if you want to make your own like web app or game or like anything really, you can enter it. We've got almost $700 in prizes. So yeah, thanks for coming.